In this 3-minute game review, we're looking at Lost Eidolons. So hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. Lost Eidolons is a turn-based tactical RPG with strategy elements, where you play as the leader of a band of fugitives rebelling against a corrupt medieval empire. The game has some of the best graphics and animations we've seen this year, as seen in many of its in-game story and action cutscenes. The game is also partially voiced and has a magnificent soundtrack combined with heavy sound effects to go along with its great voice acting. Gameplay in Lost Eidolons is what you would expect of a tactical turn-based RPG. You lead a party of heroes over a grid-based map, defeating enemies and achieving key objectives. All fights have a turn limit, and although it is easy enough to beat the turn limit in the early stages, players who opt for higher difficulties might end up struggling in the later stages of the game, especially when it comes to the game's permadeath mode. All characters have equipment and magic skill ranks, which increase with use, and higher ranks means new abilities and passive skill bonuses. The game also sports a class tree, and new classes unlock once you hit a certain combination of ranks in certain skills. The character and skill building in general felt incredibly organic, which was nice. However, even though the character progression system doesn't necessarily shoehorn you into any one type of build or playstyle, some of your party members will eventually die or leave the party as you progress in the story, and you might inadvertently find yourself lacking a certain specialization, especially when things like enemy resistances and weaknesses to certain weapon types, as well as elemental damage and terrain effects, are absolutely crucial in combat. In between combat, you get to explore the campsite and converse with the many characters of your party, taking on quests and building rapport to unlock new conversation cutscenes and gameplay rewards. Despite a pretty in-depth character rapport system, the majority of the story is told in lengthy dialogues, where although there are a handful of choices here and there, these choices ultimately have little to no impact on the overall narrative, character development, and a somewhat minor and shallow romance option late in the game. At first, Lost Eidolons seems like it has all the hallmarks of what makes a great turn-based RPG. However, despite extremely polished graphics, sound design, and stellar voice acting, the great character progression and skill system was bogged down by repetitive combat scenarios. With little to no unique or creative encounters, enemies for the most part only became increasingly difficult with more health and damage. This is further hampered by the turn limit on later levels, which hopefully, as mentioned by the devs, will be increased with a later patch. There are also some minor quality of life issues, like the experience window popping up every couple of strikes, which became slightly annoying after a while. The action and dialogue cutscenes, while beautifully rendered, soon became a bit of a chore to get through, and although you can disable and skip most of them, the bulk of the story is told through these dialogue cutscenes, of which you have little choice or influence over. I would recommend players to wait for more updates and balance tweaks before considering Lost Eidolons, especially if you don't mind long cutscenes and a mostly linear and railroaded storyline. If you're craving for more turn-based tactical games, check out our top picks playlist. Otherwise, like and subscribe for more 3-minute game reviews.